Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Right, so in this lesson we're going to start to take a look at some dominant ninth ideas. A dominant ninth chord is, this kind of thing. It's a D, although we normally just refer to them as just a D9. The difference between dominant chords, a D7 or a D9, which is really a D dominant 7, D dominant 9, is that the seventh of the scale is flattened. Don't worry too much about this theory, but here's an A blues scale. Well, that note there, the G, in an A major scale, it would normally be a G sharp. But however, in our blues scale, we flatten the note. So that's why and it's the seventh of the scale, so it's just the flat 7. So a dominant chord usually has in it, the flat 7 related to whatever chord it is in A. So here's our A major. Here's our root, our A. If you always go down two semitones, there's our flat 7. A sound we've all heard, in blues, rockabilly, everything. It's always especially prominent, just before our change to the 4 chord. So anyway, there's our. So I'll start just referring to these as ninths or sevenths. And if I'm referring to a major 7th chord, well, I'll just be specific and refer. But they're completely a different sound and not really used. In general, for the things we're looking at the moment, we'll be using them a lot later. But in this kind of thing, a 7th or a 9th is just, a D9 or an A7. So, I want to start to take a look at these dominant 9th things, which are kind of jazzy a little bit. I got these ideas. We'll look at, listening to some Charlie Christian, which we'll look at a lot more. His kind of influence in, rockabilly plays is massive. So, but anyway, this thing starts with, a kind of thing I just got from the track by the Stray Cats, Dig Dirty Doggy. They kind of use it as in their turnaround. So I'm going to start with the 5th fret to the 7th fret on the B string. And then the 5th fret on the 5th fret on the 1st string. And pull off from 8th to the 5th to the open string on the 1st string. And the same again, and the same on the B string. 8, 5, open. Then pull off from the 7th to the 5th to the open on the 3rd string, the G. Those kind of open strings can often sound a little bit odd or out of place when you play these things slow, but it's really about the whole kind of madness captured as you play it at tempo, in context with the band, etc. So don't worry if it sounds a little odd. And then hammer on from the 5th to the 6th fret on the 3rd string, and then the 7th fret on the D string. Now you could play the 5th fret as your kind of lead-in note to this kind of F9. But sometimes I'll just more kind of an upstroke, perhaps slightly muted. Rather than every single space is filled with a note. And that kind of thing is just done without even thinking. That can often be a little bit more exciting than just filling up every space with a note. So that's, and obviously, as you realise now, this backing track is the same as what we use for the Brian Setzer style licks, except this version has not got the rhythm guitar. So we'll kind of follow that format. So we start with like the turnaround. So now this next part is what I'm kind of thinking of when I say rhythmic punctuation. Again, this is another kind of thing I got from Charlie Christian. So we come up the turnaround, and we're on an A or A7, our harmony, and we're just playing an A, just the root on the 7th fret of the 4th string. But here it was all about rhythm. So for something like this, I'm probably just thinking of that I got it from Charlie Christian. So you can't help but think of a kind of big band sounds and all that. So although I'm playing one note, I'm really feeling the kind of energy of a brass section kind of blasting that out. Let's see. So it's very simple, little kind of statement question. But it's all about really getting that swing from the... so much that you can do with just one note, just to put something across if it's got the right energy and sort of how you present it. So we do that to very typical hammer from the 5th to the 6th fret on the 3rd string, and then 5th fret, 7th fret on the B string. And now I kind of answer that low A. Sorry, it's not low A, but the lower A than what we're playing now on the 7th fret of the A string with an answer on the 5th fret of the 1st string, the A, and also A. Slightly different rhythm. So it's the same note, different octave, and just playing the one note, but it's one is a kind of an answer to the first, and I personally think just how you express those notes, you don't need any more. Now we're reaching bar 4, so it's just before we're going to move to the 4 chord. So now this is where we'll bring in the dominant 9th idea. So just before we sort of look at that, just so we can see actually what it is. So if we look at these, the 4th, 3rd and 2nd strings, just our A major. So here we have the root, the 3rd and the 5th. And then on the 1st string, 5th fret, the root again. So the dominant 9th will be built up from the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the flat 7, which we just look at from our blues scale. We imagine our blues scale, but rather we'll just play the 6th fret note of our A major. And then there's our octave, our fifth, our root again. But rather we're going to play the 7th fret of the 1st string, the 9th. And now because we've got this 7th, the flat 7th note, the whole thing has a dominant 9th sound. So we look at that like... But what's nice about this kind of sound is that we can, rather than use this position, so we're keeping the 7th fret of the 4th string, the 6th fret of the 3rd string, we'll keep them, but we'll change our fingering rather than like that. Now we'll use the 2nd finger on the 4th string, the 7th fret, 1st finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Now our E, the 5th of the chord, which was previously here, we'll play at the 9th fret of the 3rd string. Our 3rd finger. And then 8th fret of the 2nd string with our 2nd finger. 7th fret of the 1st string with our 1st finger. And those can all be followed through with all downstrokes. I'd probably pick down, up, and down, down, down. So the... And then I just repeat the last 2 notes, 8th fret the 2nd string, 7th fret the 1st string again. Which takes us into our change. So again, there's our A major, just looking at this dominant 9th idea. So So just like that, just as an A major, if we just play that note on the seventh fret of the first string, because we don't have the dominant seventh notes in there, that's just an A add 9. If we were to play it using these fingerings, which is 7th fret, 4th string, 6th fret, 3rd string, my little finger's on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, and 3rd finger on the 7th fret, 1st string. That's a typical dominant 9th shape. In fact, that shape, we play that in E. So that's 2nd fret, 4th string, 1st fret, 3rd string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, 2nd fret, 1st string. Let's see. So I think that's something like 8-track, isn't it, by Brian Setzer? And he's just moving that shape up a semitone just for that tension and bring it back down. But anyway, in the key of A, like wedding. So this is our. It's good to use this because it's using some of these more, notes like the 9 to lead us to the 4 chord. So it's a bit, a little bit spicier. That gives it that kind of a little bit more jazzy. So we move to the 4 chord. So here, all I'm going to play is notes from a D or a D7, D dominant 7, or D9. We look at this kind of D shape. Here's our root, the 5th of the chord, the A. And the 5th fret, the 1st string, 7th fret, the 2nd string, the F sharp is the 3rd of our chord. 7th fret of the 3rd string is the D, the root of our chord, so those 3 strings. So just a D major. So again, remember, wherever you find a note and you want to consider that a kind of a root, so there's our D, you move that down 2 half steps. There's our flat 7, and you can play that just individually. Always move them down chromatically. So we're just playing 5th fret, 1st string, 7th fret, 2nd string, and 7th, 6th, 5th of the 3rd string. So they're just nothing special, just notes from a D7. But again, it's the kind of how you play it, the coming from the. It just gives it a nice little different flavour. Now the second part of the D, let's think we're going. So. 4th fret of the 3rd string, 7th fret of the 4th string, and 4th fret of the 4th string, and 5th fret of the 5th string, and 4th fret slide to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. Now this last part, we've done the. Now we'll move into the 4th fret, as we just seen. That played that way might seem, something like you think, well, what is that? But it's just this typical. It's just played in reverse. We're just starting on this note, the 4th fret, the 3rd string, rather than, and because it's coming from the lick before that, and we come from the 7th, 6th, 5th fret, which are sort of moving chromatically, and then our 4th fret. So we've got these 4 notes chromatically at the end of the day, so it doesn't sound as typical as, but moving that backwards and from this little chromatic run. But there's absolutely nothing sort of special about that. It's just again the rhythm of the notes, the kind of choice, the phrasing, and even sometimes just like that, just adding a slide. And just kind of change the feeling of a lick. So next then we move into a dominant 9 kind of idea again. Basically an octave lower version of what we did before. So I'm kind of sliding into the 5th frets of the 6th string. I guess because of where my fingers end up from the part before, I kind of just slide from the 4th to the 5th of the 6th string, but it's not really sort of premeditated. It just happens to be because my fingers are there. It's a good place to be, always, you know, sliding from a semitone below. Very typical jazzy idea, but just where my fingers are, I'm just playing it for that reason, kind of. So slide to the 5th fret of the 6th string, then 4th fret, 7th fret of the 5th fret of the 6th string, 4th fret, 7th fret of the 5th string. So again, this kind of idea. Whereas normally we might play this 4th fret of the 4th string, then the 5th fret, which the 5th fret being our flat 7th of the chord, the scale. But no one's play it, we'll go straight to that 5th fret, 4th string, the flat 7th of the chord. And then the 4th fret of the 3rd string, which is our 9th, but you know, in context again, because we've had that flat 7th, we've got this more dominant 9th sound. And then I just finish on the major 3rd of the chord, or the 6th fret. That's a nice kind of just way to end the lick anyway. And if you look, you know, at this, what we did before the dominant 9th thing here, 7th fret 1st string, 8th fret 2nd string, 9th fret 3rd string. That's just an E minor triad. We can even see that here from where we've just now done it an octave lower. So we've got the 4th fret of the 3rd string, 5th fret 4th string, and 7th fret of the 5th string, which is just an E minor. So obviously that's telling us, you know, notes from the E minor are actually kind of, you know, some of the spicy notes we can use over an A7 kind of idea, or a 9, dominant 9. You know, we're going to look a lot more in this and, you know, see how we can apply this to, you know, this, I think about this, how I can apply this to certain rockabilly songs and things like that. Not kind of full out sort of bop tunes or jazz things, but, you know, how maybe I can just apply sometimes. Just a moment like that, really. But we'll be doing a lot of these kind of things, and this kind of vocabulary will start to really soon, start to feel more under your fingers. It won't take long at all. So we do the dominant 9th lick there, and then the same as before this time, but I'm just this time sliding into the 7th fret of the 4th string, then 6th fret of the 3rd string, 9th fret of the 3rd string, and then we'll follow through with those to 8th fret 2nd string, 7th fret 1st string. But I finished the kind of idea with a little hammer-on pull-off. So as I reach the 7th fret of the 1st string, I hammer onto the 9th, pull it off, and then 8th fret of the 2nd string. And then 7th fret, 9th fret. So again, a kind of a punctuation idea. So just preceding that 9th, we've got the 7th fret of the 1st string. And here, again, it can just vary, similar to the opening kind of statements. We just, it's just like we talked about in other classes, repeating or returning back to rhythmical ideas just towards the end, just to help to bookend and just give some sense of real closure. So we've got it. So I just play that twice there. Or I could play So it doesn't really matter, but just kind of, like before. Here we go. Although I play probably twice, because we're over our 5 chord, the E, I just move that up to the E note, the 12th fret on the first string. Play that twice. And then I start to make this more of a double stop idea by playing the 11th fret of the second string and then 10th fret of the second string. They could be played once or twice. Again, it doesn't matter, you just kind of go by instinct. Like sometimes kind of end and just slide it, or just kind of then cut it off a little bit. But these are just more expressive ideas, really. Just the main thing is just to get these ideas under your fingers first. And then we do the turnaround like before. And then the whole thing is the same again. Perhaps, like I've said, some of these more punctuated ideas, there might be some slight differences because they're always slightly different. Maybe if there's one that I really like, that might often stay the same just because I kind of feel it the same in that moment. But, we're going to get a lot into this kind of thing. It's absolutely so important, that you can really just get through a solo kind of just grooving on one note. And then, so if you can get through a solo great with one note, well, you can, bring in 2 notes, bring in 3, bring in 4, and start to think more rhythmically about just the individual things. So yeah, so playing through the second time of the solo exactly the same, apart from, like I said, some perhaps rhythmical variations. The difference here now, just to finish, because it's the old backing track we had before, we don't do the F9, E9 turnaround, we just finish with the B flat, or, B flat 7, B flat dominant 7 to A7, or A dominant 7. Like I said in the other video, sometimes, it's nice to have the kind of rock and roll chords, 6 9s or other spicy things, but other times, if you just want, more of a kind of a smack in the face ending, just a 7th, B flat 7 to an A7 is great. Which song is it by the Stray Cats? I Love Witches, something like that. I think it's Everybody Needs Rock and Roll. I can't remember that song. It's something like that. And it's great, and they're not even 7th, they're just major chords. C, D flat major, C major, or C sharp, depending on how you want to call it. Right. So yeah, I hope this is starting to make a little bit of sense. Don't worry about the theory side of things. Just listen to these. Often just listen to these words, and video by video, hearing them more and more, they just start to make more sense, even without trying. What's so important is that look at some of these shapes. Just think about the chord shapes and these notes in relation, and the rhythmical side of things. And we'll look at more of stuff like this. Charlie Christian is a goldmine for all of that, and there's so much in the kind of jazz world, which a lot of the great rockabilly and rock and roll guitarists have just kind of took some of that stuff, and so we'll do the same and really start to spice up some of these moments, and take it from there. Right, well, have fun and take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.